What's this then? A premium saloon that doesn't have an Audi or BMW badge on the front. This is the Volvo S60. It's the R-Design trim spec that I'm featuring in this video. The car in Ireland starts at just about €47,000, and if you go for the R-Design, yeah, it pushes the price up, but you get this, which looks fairly snazzy on the roads. This car is competing, of course, with the BMW 5 Series, the Audi A6, and that kind of executive saloon space. But this thing is going to be an awful lot less common on Irish roads. So should you have a little look around it, well, I'm going to do part of that work for you in the video. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and pop on that bell notification button for next time a video is ready. Let's take a look at the boot first of all, because apart from golf clubs and other things, what will you be able to fit into it? Well, there'll be quite a lot. It's quite a deep boot in that it can take lots of luggage, and there's a bit of height space on it as well. But the seats into the back area don't fold down. I can only assume the nice people in Volvo still have their communion money, because they want you to pay extra for folding rear seats. No, seriously. And that's kind of problem number one when it comes to the boot of the S60. Also down here, you get no spare wheels, so you just get some foam, and in fairness, a handier storage area. There's like a hidden shelf that you can hide things underneath in there, and there's a few shopping hooks, and there's a first aid kit, because it's a Volvo, they love safety, and there's some cargo nets in the back as well. There's a button on the boot that means if you've just been getting something out of that and you don't want the rest of the car open, you can press that, and when you close it, the car will lock for the rest of it as well. Love those sweeping lights that come around at the back of the car, and the indicators that you can see really make it impressive. Looking into the back we go, and there is so much legroom in the back of the S60. It is absolutely brilliant. A lot of car manufacturers, they don't put too much thought into the back and how comfortable your rear passengers are going to be. Not in the S60. There's air vents here to blow hot or cool air at you for your passengers. There's little hooks to hold on to things, and shirts and t-shirts. There's nice individual lights in the back that are little white LEDs. The armrest is generous, really, really wide. Little button here that you pop out, and these fancy cup holders arrive out to greet you, and there's even an extra tray here for maybe keeping a phone or something like that. There's netting here to hold things into place. The driver's seat is nice and raised over your feet, so you can actually really get your feet there, and there is still an abundance of knee room here, and even more so if you've got a front passenger who doesn't have the longest of legs, and they can draw their seat forward a little bit more as well. It really is like there's tons and tons of space. Now, for a middle passenger, this transmission tunnel is massive, so if there is definitely still enough legroom either side that you'll be able to put feet and shoes either side of it, but it's just a little bit uncomfortable. There's also a lack of a USB charging action back here, because there's just a 12 volt that you can plug an old style charger into, so that bit is a little bit disappointing. But head height is very generous. This one has the panoramic glass roof that comes as part of a package that costs about just nearly €4,000. Half comes back here to greet your rear passengers as well, so it just brightens up the whole thing. And just the general experience, it feels like it's dark, it's all black, and headlining in the R-Design model is going to be black as well for a sportier feel. But there's still tons of light coming in, so it's quite dark by contrast, and then the light floods. But it is a comfortable place to be, and I think most passengers are going to be pretty happy. Even the headrest on the car, you can just tell by looking at them that there's been a bit of thought put into it. And yeah, I think you'd be happy enough sitting at the back of this car on longer journeys. Now, for years, Volvo have focused on safety and sort of pushing how safe their cars are, that I think they've actually lost a bit of the sportiness in terms of people's perception about them. I think we might be able to change that perception when we have a look around the front and when we take this car for a spin. Fusion red is the colour in this particular model, and then you sit into this very comfortable charcoal leather. It even has little tags with the Swedish flag on them, just to remind you that you're not in something German. Although, looking around you, you could probably be confused, because there's so many nice touches. Things are soft. There's bits of black gloss and chrome and polished metals, particularly if you go for the R design models. They have like more black and gloss, and there's gloss on the exterior of the car, so little nods to the sportier thing. Now, the majority of your controls are through this central screen, and you can swipe left and drag down in the same way you would in a phone, a smartphone, or a tablet. So we all be very familiar in that sense. But you know, things like the climate control are beyond a button that you're going to have to press. Now, they are constantly down the bottom of the screen, so you're not searching for menus to get to climate, but there is a lot of functionality behind that screen, and there's no obvious, I mean, there is a jog wheel for volume and stuff here, and to mute your audio maybe, but that's about it. The majority of stuff is going to be behind a somewhat distracting screen, so, you know, you'll get used to how it works and stuff like that, but there's lots of fiddling that you can do with it. Your display is really bright, so much information into it, and you've got so many options to keep you safe on the road in this car. It's like you have lane keeping aids, you have cross traffic alerts, you've got distance alerts, you can park for you. It's got a 360 camera that works so well, a heads up display. It will tell you when you're in the vicinity of a school, for example. You get a little warning over display that'll have a picture of kids. This thing can see oncoming large animals. It's as like Volvo care as much about people that you're never going to meet or even make eye contact with as you're driving past them as much as the driver of their cars. So there's so much safety built in, and yeah, I mean, that is what they're so famous for. But then there's lovely touches like little crystallized start stop button and the drive mode selections that are kind of they just look a bit posher. Seen this before in Skodas, but they have a little holder here for your parking tickets in the windscreen, so you don't touch them off your phone or get them stuck in your mouth and rip the lip off yourself. Hands up who's done that before. And these air vents, again, they're different. They're not the norm. They're trying to be a little bit different to everybody else. I mean, they've been synonymous with Volvos, but what I mean is, compared to a lot of other marques and models, you don't necessarily get them. And even the indicator stalks are really solid. You get they're kind of plastic, but they're trying to look metal for paddle shifters on the back, and you can control an awful lot from your steering wheel as well, including the adaptive cruise control that will work and stop start traffic and keep up with traffic in front of you, even if it's crawling along. It takes a lot of the effort of braking and accelerating away from your right foot, and the Volvo will do a lot of it for you. Some people might feel that the interior is a bit minimalistic, but if you like the sort of more simple, clean look, then this will be lovely.
What would you like to do?
Find a toilet.
Searching for POI in Ireland. Select a POI in the list.
It's not a POI I need, it's a PISS.
Please repeat.
Cancel.
Cancel.
It's got things like speed sensitive steering that get obviously heavier the more you drive, and this one, the petrol version 2 litre, has got 250 brake horsepower, so there's plenty of poke inside the bonnet as well, which by the way is quite long when you're trying to see over the front of the car, but thankfully you've got things like that 360 camera to help you guide your way. So I've been impressed. It's certainly well able to put it up to the German equivalents, and price wise it's pretty much there. The only thing is, are they as desirable as something like an Audi A6 or 5 Series? I think if you put the R-Design kit on it, then the answer is quite possibly yes. Let's jump in for a spin anyway and see what it's like on the road. On this particular model, you'll get extendable, retractable, electronic leg extenders on the driver and passenger seats, and they always make the journey that little bit more comfortable, I find. This one is a 2 litre 250 brake horsepower engine, as I mentioned, and there is tons and tons of power for what you'd expect is a quick enough saloon. The gear changes are absolutely sublime. There's no delay, no hesitation with the automatic 8-speed gearbox. You can get a 6 manual as well. And the surroundings, I just love the central tunnel for the separation between the driver and passenger seat, because there's it just feels kind of sporty. It's a nice driving position that you're sort of hunkered down into. And again, it's just a kind of a sportier feel that maybe you're not expecting when you get behind the wheel of a Volvo. I feel that that part of the driving experience with them is something that they probably haven't shouted about enough for the last few years. Everyone knows they're safe, but they're actually quite enjoyable to drive as well. That said, the steering that changes with speed, it's quite light at lower speeds, and it's somewhat heavy, but there's not an awful lot of involvement from the steering. You don't really know exactly what way the car is going, and it's a little bit desensitized in terms of bumps, and just the feeling of the road isn't quite there the way it would be in a BMW, for example. There really is plenty of grunt from it, however, and you're never really lacking in performance as soon as you put the foot down. There's possibly a little bit of hesitation, I suppose akin to turbo lag. There it is, but once that sort of brief second where it's not sure, you want the power, oh, you want the power, and away you go. I don't think it's a big enough drawback to kind of ruin the enjoyment of the car. And it handles very well, so bigger saloon, it's still reasonably planted on the ground, and coming up to corners and bends, there's no issue at all with it. It really hugs in nice and tight on things like roundabouts. So again, I probably wasn't expecting that, but that's what I got. You probably expect me to say this, but it is all very refined and grand inside, and I mean grand in the general meaning of the word, not the Irish meaning of the word. So it feels sophisticated. It's not too crashy over bumps. There's a speed bump at sort of 45 kilometers per hour, and there's no issues. And I'm driving by a school here in Howth, and the display on the heads up and the instruments is telling me that I'm actually in an area where school children can be, and it just gives you an extra bit of warning. It's clever stuff like that uses the sat nav to work out where you are. Outside world, you'll struggle to hear it. There's very little of it evident as you kind of waft along in your S60. The official word is about 7.5 litres per 100 kilometres. I haven't seen anything like that. Now, when I collected the car, whoever had been driving it before me was somewhere in the 8 litres per 100 kilometres, but for the entire week I've been driving it, I've seen it around 11-12 litres per 100 kilometres. Again, it is a 2-litre petrol, 250 brake horsepower saloon car. I'm not sure exactly how decent you're expecting the fuel economy to be, but yeah, I've seen a tank kind of evaporate as I've been driving. Sort of, we're at now, I've done 216 kilometers and there's about half a tank left. So I think if you're anyway enthusiastic with your right foot, you're going to see maybe 450 kilometers out of a full tank of juice. But again, are you buying saloon petrol cars for fuel economy, or are you buying them because they're a bit of fun and they like to be revved? And the petrol head in you that might go for a T5 version with the Orline kit, well, you're kind of getting that's what you're going to get. It's a car I've enjoyed driving this week. Even long journeys on the M50 in that stop-start traffic made all the easier by the adaptive cruise control that can keep up with stop-start traffic. The only thing you have to do when the car ahead moves is just gently tap the accelerator to say you're happy to go again, and the car will do the rest for you. And it works from 0 kilometers an hour. So, my overall opinion of the Volvo S60, while it doesn't have a Audi, BMW or Mercedes badge on the front of it, it's still a very worthy contender if you want to go a little bit different with your premium executive saloon. If you're into Volvos, it'll be worth subscribing to the channel, because I've got the new facelifted XC90 coming in 2020, and in the next few weeks the XC60 Polestar which has over 400 brake horsepower from a hybrid. So I'm really looking forward to getting behind the wheel of that Volvo in the not too distant future as well. Hopefully you've learned something about the car in this video, and hit like and comment and share the video if there's any sort of interaction and feedback you'd like to give on the review of this Volvo S60. And thank you very much for watching. As always, it's much appreciated, and thanks for the support on the channel so far. I'll catch you very soon.